Good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, I thought it was time to give you an update on the vegetable garden. I'm back here trying to feed the animals this morning and get a few chores done before the grandchildren get here. Thank you for joining me today. You know you're welcome. If you're new around here, welcome. And if you've been around for a while, welcome back. Now we're in my backyard, and you know I have a small backyard. We have a quarter of a lot here. Our house sits kind of in the middle of it, and our backyard is smaller than our front yard because our yard's shaped kind of like a pie. You know, the back in the back is smaller, and it's wider there in the front where we're in a curve. And you would think, just having a quarter of a lot, that it would be easy to keep clean. Donald's in the process of building new rabbit cages for our baby bunnies. I've got a potting station over there where I start seeds and transplant plants. That beautiful purple crepe myrtle there in the back. It's not getting as much sun, but it's still out there beautiful. We've got a chicken coop. We've got a chicken coop there, and we've got things piled up around it to keep Ollie from harassing the chickens all day long. We've got this pool. I've got to cut that up and get it out there to the street so the city can pick it up or either find some kind of recycling purpose for it. We've got the kids' play area. Madeline's swing is back there. Donald's got the fence tore down here. He's tore it down because it's just served its purpose. He's repaired it, and it's been up there for a long time. We need a little fence right here because when you come up the gate, if you stand right there at the gate, you can look up the whole backyard. But if we put a little fence right here, it keeps the kids from going down to the gate, and it is a little break. It's a privacy break here in our backyard, so he'll be putting that fence back up. We got to buy a new fence, and he's got to build that and put that back up right here so that we'll have that. Now here's the wheelbarrow I planted in the wheelbarrow video, in the Plant a Wheelbarrow With Me video. I could not be more happy with the way that thing has cascaded out of that wheelbarrow. It's beautiful. It's exactly what I imagined it would be, give or take with the bug bites. We've had Japanese beetles and slugs that we've had to battle with in our garden this year. Our flower gardens and our vegetable gardens. We've had to battle those pests in both of those gardens. We've not put out any kind of poison or done anything, sprayed for them. I've picked the beetles off by hand. I've got out here and raked and try to keep this area dry to keep those slugs away. And you can see I'm about half winning the battle with that. I just didn't want to spray anything. You can see the new growth is coming out without any kind of pest bites. But some of the older growth has suffered. But that wheelbarrow has just delighted me. It's the sweet potato vine that I planted there in the front has just spilled out of that exactly like I wanted it to do. And it's been very, very pretty. I've enjoyed it. I have learned this year, after planting this wheelbarrow and putting it here, I have learned what I can do next year to improve this. I've got it under this wisteria right here. I thought that it might need shade because it's been so dry, and we've been trying to conserve water since we're on city water. We do have a rain barrel and we use that, but it's not enough to water everything I've got around here. And I only have one downspout on this house, one gutter downspout. So I can't really add another rain barrel without doing some kind of configuration there on the roof. And so that's the reason I don't water with solely rainwater. It's just not feasible for me to do that at this time. But back to the wheelbarrow. I put this thing here thinking that the shade from the wisteria would help it conserve water and just give it a break from the hot bearing down sun. Well, as you can see, all the plants in the wheelbarrow shifted towards where the light was at. They've shifted over here trying to get the sun. And I really do like where it's placed here in this side garden in the backyard. I do, I really like it. So what I'll do next year is I will turn that wheelbarrow, instead of it being faced that way, I will turn it this way. And that way the plants can get more of the sun they're looking for. And I'll make sure this wisteria is cut back so that it's off of, that it's not shading it so much. Or maybe I'll buy some semi-shade loving plants. That would help too. But otherwise, for the first year of planting this wheelbarrow, I'm just tickled to death with it. I love it. I love the way it cascades down in the front. And it looks like it's pouring out of the wheelbarrow. That was the vision I had for that plant when I planted it there, and I'm excited to see it doing what I really wanted it to do. It's not perfect, but it's a really good start. I tell you, I live in the city, and I'm out here this morning trying to shoot this video and share with you guys the changes in the backyard garden and in the vegetable garden. And I've had sirens going off, loud jets flying over. It's just been so noisy out here. I don't know that I remember it ever being that noisy. But we'll continue on, and I hope that you can hear me. We've got a little crepe myrtle here in the backyard that I started from seed, from the one that I have in the front yard, and I moved it to the back. Of course, this is our compost pile right here. We've got this compost is decomposed and ready to go, and this is where we come to put our compost on our garden. And we've got different stages of decomposition going on here. This here is out of the chicken cage, and we usually let it compost for at least a year. We let it compost at least a year so that it can break down and be suitable for our garden. This is where we put the rabbit manure. It is ready to be used at any stage. We usually do let it break down a little bit, and then on across here is where we put our fresh garden clippings and things that we do from the backyard. We put them back here. And then we add our kitchen compost to the already composted pile, because once we get it out of our little kitchen composter, it's ready to be used. So that's a little tour of how that's doing at this time of the year. We're getting quite a bit of compost out here from the chickens, from the rabbits, and from fresh cuttings from the garden. Now we're coming up on the vegetable garden. This is zucchini vines. Zucchini from Baker's Creek seed catalog. That's where I got the seeds for these. This is yellow zucchini, and it has been beautiful. It's still producing, and just to give you an idea of how big this zucchini plant is, this is me right here standing beside of it, and right here is the zucchini plant. Donald and I never dreamed that zucchini plants would be as tall as me this year. Now, I've shared with you in past videos, if you watch my channel, how we tried a new method out here, the no dig, no till method. So we didn't dig our garden, we didn't till it this year. Donald, we just mapped out an area out here. He got out here and sprayed an area. He took the top layer of grass and everything growing there off of that area. He laid down weed block, and we put 4 to 5 inches of topsoil and our garden soil and compost. Compost from our bin, our compost area over here that I just shared with you. And so this was a no-till, no-dig method. And we've got these huge zucchini plants. And I'm telling you, we could not have asked for them to be any better than this. They're bearing fruit, they have beautiful blooms. I mean, it is just awesome. This is an elderberry we've got right here beside of the garden There's a zucchini. Here's more blooms with zucchini bearing fruit. I mean, it's just beautiful. Over here's cucumbers from this side of the garden. Now we're on the outside of the garden, and I'm showing you how it looks from the outside when you walk up the gates. This is my planting patch. That's right outside of the garden. It's going to seed, and I'm letting it get going to seed this year. Now walking on up into the garden, at the garden gate, you'll see the tomatoes on the left. Now it has been hot this year, triple digit weather. It has been dry at times. We've had a lot of rain and you know, just patch days where it rained, but we would get out here and the soil would not be wet any further than about 1.5 inches down. So we have had to water this garden some. You can see it's growing pretty close together in there. We never thought the squash would get that big. Our tomatoes are doing good. We planted a variety of tomatoes. This is the mortgage lifter. Of course, we plant indeterminate tomatoes because we want to get as much as we can from them. And by having an indeterminate, you know, it can grow as big as we can get it to grow this year. We have not fertilized this garden. This garden is growing from the compost that we put in there with the soil, with the garden soil. This is that little patch of basil that I've got outside here on the fence. Now I'll walk with you inside of the garden. Now this is what greets us. I'll have to step over this so as not to damage it, because this garden has just filled up its little space. I estimated about the size that our zucchini usually gets, and that's what I put in here, thinking that, you know, it would be the same. It definitely was not. We had greater growth in the zucchini area. Here are the tomatoes. They have plenty of blooms. This is our marigolds. You know, I got things in late, but I'm starting to see some blooms on the marigolds. Green tomatoes. This really huge tomato right here, this mortgage lifter. Now when we get over here to the cucumber area, we still have some cucumbers, but these vines are starting to dry up. So it's time to go ahead and probably pull these up, and I might have a chance to plant some lettuce right in this little area. So I'll be doing that sometime soon. Here are the climbing cucumbers. There's still some cucumbers coming on those little climbing vines. So we'll be harvesting these soon. You see all the blooms, just loaded with blooms. You can tell that the cucumber plants have been dry. They're dried out a little bit. So it's time to do some planting and move on to the next step here. Getting rid of one kind of plant and moving on to another. We haven't fertilized this. Got a little pumpkin. We had one little pumpkin right there that I got out of the compost bin. I don't know if y'all remember that. when I found that in the compost bin. But there it is. There's that little pumpkin there. It'll be ready for fall. There's the zucchini. They're growing uphill, the yellow zucchini and the yellow squash. The tomatoes with plenty of blooms, and our cucumbers yet have plenty of blooms. So we'll be getting some stuff out here. More. We've got plenty out of this garden. We are not disappointed by any means. This garden has really provided to be so small, and I've got to say we're pleasantly surprised and that we never thought that we would have this good of growth. It's been amazing growth. And this garden has not been fertilized. The only fertilizer that's in it is the compost that we put in when we brought this soil in here, and we covered this little patch of ground to make this little garden. That's the only compost, the only fertilizer that we've put on it, and we're amazed. Was the no-dig, no-till method worth it? Definitely. Would we do it again? Yes. Especially in this small space. Of course, you can do it in any space, but having a small space like we have, definitely, that's the way to go for us. The no-dig, no-till method. So we'll be doing that from now on. I'll show you this little garden we got over here. This one doesn't have a gate on it. Donald left it open because he wants the children to come in and pick when they want to. The dog doesn't seem to want to get in here, so that's good. And what we have in here is a lot of little cherry tomatoes planted. The kids like to just come out here and eat these, and they're starting to bear. Of course, they don't stay on long. Once they turn ripe, the kids come out and munch on them. But that's why he planted this little garden, is for them to come out here and feel free. There's basil. I'll have to harvest some basil today. We do have a pumpkin over there. They're looking forward to harvesting that pumpkin for fall. That's one that we got out of the compost bin that came from some of the seeds that we planted. Now this little garden needs to be weeded and watered. It hadn't got as much attention. It was just an area here near this stump that already had about 4 inches of composted wood chips that came from that tree that was here when Donald and I had it cut down about 4 years ago. So we wanted to use this compost and try to grow something out of it. That basil looks beautiful. It's probably the best basil patch that I have right here. So I'll be harvesting some of that. The little tomatoes will grow, and the kids will get to come out here and pick some tomatoes and eat them. And next year we'll have different plans for this little patch of ground. And that's the update on the vegetable garden out here so far. I wanted to share with you how pleased we were, how good it's done, even in this severely hot streak of weather that we've had, and the rain being inconsistent. It's still faring well, and even if it dries up now, we've got quite a harvest off of this. I've got quite a bit of zucchini. We've been able to eat plenty, making the zucchini boats, which I have a video about that if you're interested in how to make those. We've made squash relish from a lot of the zucchini and the yellow squash that we've gotten out of this garden. We have 8 cucumbers like you wouldn't believe. So this small patch of garden has really rewarded us this year, despite the hardships that the weather has thrown at it. It's been excellent. We're very pleased with it, and we'll definitely do this style of garden again next year. I don't even know that Donald needs to keep his tiller anymore. I mean, we'll have to discuss that because I don't even see a reason to till. The weeds are at a minimum. I'm telling you, I'm so surprised. Donald did put the weed barrier down. You can see a little bit of it right there. We have a video on how we started this vegetable garden. If you'd like to just look at the channel and find that video. It's an interesting video when we first laid this little garden out, and we are so pleased that it will be the kind of gardening that we do from now on here. It not only is it conducive to the space that we have, I'm just so amazed at the growth. I mean, 5-foot tall zucchini. Our tomatoes are at least 5, maybe 6 feet tall over there around the edge. I mean, that's excellent. We've got a great yield from the plants that we've had, and I'm just pleased with it. So yes, definitely this will probably be the garden for us. Now here, looking at the rest of the yard, and it's a mess. We'll have to spend a couple of days out here, high maintenance, labor intensive little yard. You'd think being a small yard that this yard would be easy to keep clean, but this is the space that we have, and we're making the most out of every inch. The kids play out here, Donald builds out here. We raise chickens and rabbits. We have our dog Ollie. We've got these 2 little gardens. I mean, there's a lot going on out here. We are by no means letting a small space hold us back from being able to enjoy living. We use it to the max out here. We do the most we can with what we have. I've got the hose pulled out. I'm going to have to spray a little water on that wheelbarrow. Here's the backyard elderberries. We've shared some of these with the birds. You can see that little thing has already been eaten by the birds. These are not quite ripe. So we'll have to watch these and harvest them when they ripen if we want to get any kind of harvest from the backyard berries. We got such a good harvest from the front yard that I'm not opposed to sharing a little bit with the birds back here. This stalk the birds have munched on it, so. That's the backyard elderberry patch here. And then there's 2 more over here where Madeline likes to hang out, where her swing is at. Because we have a grandchild with autism, we try to provide the things that she likes, and she loves motion, so her swing is back here. She loves being in this little cozy area. Thank you for joining me in my little vegetable garden in my backyard today. There's a lot of things that need to be done. We'll be making videos on the cleaning up and the other things that we need to do back here when we get the rabbits transferred. I hope to make a video on that when Donald gets his cage finished. So there's a lot going on back here and a lot to be done, and hopefully I can share the progress of that with you in the future. Thank you for joining me today, and like always, until next time.